promise you that wasn't the ring.
That's kind of a letdown.
Fruity ring.
That's our intro right there. All that setup. That's much like my life with
telling you.
Matt
The
right
alarm
there.
clock went off.
High expectations. Hey, everybody. Doug Fields
Never
here
disappointed.
with Josh and Jana and Matt.
You don't need to talk so
And
loud.
What, do you have earphones on?
You got a mic? No, I'm just sitting next to you and I want to die.
It is...
My mom's telling you to be quiet.
From the grave if you're new to the show.
We have a show today. Today is the 5th of July, and
It's the 55th episode.
It is the no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's like 53.
54th.
Oh,
Three.
wine tournament.
3.
And we have no intro music, so we said let's Mac out a new little phone. So we said let's call it because he said it was a real lame ring, and it sounded very much like a normal telephone ring. So
kind of normal.
we thought we would start the show with that, and anyway, happy post 4th of July. Jana, next week we have our PDYM student conference.
This is gonna be cool.
Our student leadership conference, which is sold out, and it is going to be so great. And if you are coming out for that and bringing your students, we're very excited to have you. And
Yep, you can't really say happy 4th, though, because this is an international podcast.
So
that's true.
Happy Canada
Because
Day last week.
yesterday on World of Warcraft, I said happy 4th to somebody in my group, and he said, I'm Canadian.
So,
Yeah.
did you
Now,
sing the Canadian
Nadeem,
national
who's
anthem?
doing the sound, Nadeem, can people even hear Matt?
Oh, yeah.
Let's turn him up.
Oh, okay. You turn him up. Okay.
You told me that's my non-derailing voice.
All right.
Matt had some rules set for him today.
Yeah,
Matt
right
had some-
before,
Matt
yeah.
had some
He had the
rules.
talk.
If I'm inhibited today, I don't want to hear afterwards, man, you weren't that funny today.
But there was no sensitive hand on the shoulder on Matt or anything today. It was just more
Just
the
eye
eyes.
contact.
I got
It's
my
just-
eyes on you.
It's just the last couple shows I've just felt we got a little derailed.
And he wasn't blaming anybody.
No.
I would
Right,
say
it was to
we've
all
been-
of us.
talking
I
to
mean, in
everybody.
fairness, it was to all of
It
us.
was to all of us.
It
He
was
was
kind
just
of the-
looking at Matt.
It was our second podcast lecture in 53.
That's not bad.
First podcast lecture was like after the burps and Matt and said, Matt, we can't go that route. And then
It's so unprofessional. Reinforces the stereotypes.
you remember that's fine.
Memory like a trap. All right, here we go.
This
You're
is
looking a little coy today,
sometimes we start with the
What is?
non-question
I don't even know what the word coy means. Do I look coy right now?
Look at him. He's like this. Oh, poor me.
You're like a
Wounded.
fish.
No, I'm trying to be quiet. I'm not wounded.
Be quiet, just don't derail the conversation.
Okay, no derailing.
Um,
Can I nail them though? Just nail them. Sorry.
Actually, that's a good example of derail.
Yeah, Adam J writes in, I'm getting a feed burner error message trying to download on iTunes. Did someone let Doug loose on the internet again?
Not our fault. What'd you do?
It wasn't.
No.
Because there was a little email tension going around between us that we came in to record a show.
Between you and Josh.
I
Not
wasn't
between
being
Josh.
I apologize.
Did you?
Absolutely.
Should we tell him about it?
I
Because
don't
we
care.
recorded the show on Friday,
Yeah.
and it didn't go up on Friday.
Right.
And Josh sent an email out that says, "Hey, what's going on? I
Hey.
spend all this time getting up early sending Doug letters."
I prep the show every week. Let's get it up on the internet. Interwebs.
How much worse did I make that email
A
train
lot.
by
So-
replying?
So I hit reply all, and then it went to everybody on the whole team,
Okay.
which was a kind of a dumb move.
And it's
So-
because it said, "Why don't you get this? Why isn't it up?"
Well,
and it went
right.
to all.
And that's
And then-
that's untypical for Josh too.
Yeah.
Which
Very
is-
typical for me to increase the tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent a note to the men who matter that I would have wounded and said I'm sorry.
And then
So-
Matt wrote back and said, "If that's reply to all, that's dumb. If it's just to Andy, I can't remember what it was, but
If
I
it's
read
my
it.
fault, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go, if it's my fault, I dropped the ball, I'll post it, I guess. If that's just Brazel, that's really dumb. We
Then
can,
Josh hit reply to all.
Yeah. But the show's up. Everything works great.
Yeah.
And we're all
So the
ready.
feed burner
Yeah,
question.
nobody
We are
can
burned.
follow what's
All right,
happening.
yes.
So
Jeff
move
Smith wrote, we didn't get many, well, partly because the show didn't get up until Saturday,
Right.
and then
Is
it's
this like a reply
Thursday,
to all
and this
email?
is the 4th.
And the
no,
4th
I'm
of
just saying
July.
we didn't get many questions. We didn't get many questions, but we do have, the good news
Oh,
is Jana
my.
delegated this task, which finally at 53 shows, it's done correctly.
Wait,
The
I
only-
just got the folder last week. Though,
Have you
so-
looked at
True.
it though to see?
Yeah,
True,
it's
but,
beautiful.
but it's
Alright.
pink.
Well, that's
Yeah, real
That's what you.
strong masculine color.
She knows what your favorite color is.
Yeah, well, she actually See, people. I've been reading the questions. People go, "Oh, does Josh keep some of these questions from you? Does Matt read all the?" Matt hasn't read a question like in a year.
Yeah.
And
All the tabs are on the same side. That would kind of drive me crazy.
Oh yeah.
parenting questions.
Kinda
So here are the
wow.
topics.
Wait.
Not a good manager.
Here are the topics.
Wait a
Parenting
minute.
questions, serious questions, prayer requests, book questions and comments,
Just burn the purple.
fun, funny stories, ideas, general questions and comments dated oldest to newest.
Oh, whoa.
50th show ideas.
Okay, Matt, thank you for those.
Ministry and comments, oldest to newest.
Oldest and newest is a nice touch, though.
Yeah.
That's
Ministry
impressive.
comments.
I
We're gonna
just saying, I just was
Yeah.
handed it a minute before the show, but I'm very
So
excited.
There
we
should
have
be a
room
volunteer
for,
section,
for
but
new
it's
emails.
awesome.
We're ready
Well,
for new
maybe
emails
there's
too.
a volunteer
But we have the
question.
well.
And
Send
there's
in your
something wrong
questions
about the whole
That's
thing where
right.
I
That's
just
right.
would rather read the
That's a
I'd rather
good
read
job.
the new questions than go back in and dig
Yeah.
through the old ones. But
And that was Allison who
so
did that?
Josh sent me the new questions at 1 a.m.
I got back from fireworks and
1 a.m.
Transformers.
2 weeks in a row, though.
I know. I
Second
know.
Transformers.
Second showing of Transformers. My brother-in-law flew into town and he wanted to see Transformers, so took some family.
Always
with
up for a
So,
good time.
We had
Josh
a
takes them
little,
out.
we had a little 4th of July party at the Fields house yesterday. That Josh wasn't there. We shot a little podcast
Oh, fun.
video.
Fun.
Yeah, Jake was there.
Oh.
Jake was there. It's
Is he
kinda,
moving in on this chair?
he's kind of taking
Ah,
going after your seat.
oh, man.
Yeah.
He's known as a non-derailer, so he's going to take my seat.
We're all in danger when it comes to Jake because he's brilliant.
That's true.
All right. Sorry about not making it to your party, by the way.
No, it's all right. It wasn't
I was
really my
bummed.
party. It was Janice. She rented the jump house.
Oh.
I paid for it, but she rented it.
She delegated.
Wait a minute. How come we didn't pay for the steak I brought?
Oh.
Just
How was the
kidding.
steak? I heard you were the grill master. Were you the grill?
It was a little tough. Mish, who doesn't eat meat, bless her meatless soul. She was supposed to bring back some ribeye. Brings back roast.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh.
Grilled roast?
Hey, by the way, did
Yeah.
you clean the barbecue yesterday afterwards?
Yeah, I left it on for about an hour, so everything burned off.
All the germs are burned away.
All right.
There's two theories. Do you clean before or after? I think you clean right before you cook. It's
And
a
did you?
It's a better. Yeah, I cleaned before I cooked yesterday.
did?
I would actually agree with that. I think you leave the grill as is, but then
Yeah,
you heat it up.
because
and
sometimes
scrape
the
it off
ants
ready
come,
for
and
you.
that just helps with the stuff.
Yeah, it's the circle of life.
Okay, what's our next question?
The grill is a key element.
It is.
All right, here we go.
All
I
right.
did clean beforehand.
All right. This guy says, "Don't read my don't read my question." Okay.
Done.
Don't read my name. I want to thank you for your ministry. Blah blah blah. I'm concerned, however, lack of love we see on the podcast for Brazelton.
Oh,
He seems to be the
he's now dancing in the corner.
he seems to be the glue that holds SYM together. He's always been attacked about his lack of giving, but yet I've yet to see that side of him.
Let's
He's
test it today.
always been so helpful and given whenever I've spoken with him. You guys need to have him on the show with you sometime.
Is this from his wife?
So wait now.
So Andy, here's a shout out to you.
Oh, that's
He
nice.
says, Andy, I would have sent you a shirt, but I didn't have your size. And it says, so Doug, Josh, and Matt, their shirt, but
Yeah,
the photo wasn't in there.
they didn't show up in the email.
They
Sorry.
didn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So here's the question that he has that we're not saying. So this guy,
So he
Props
wants
to
free.
Andy.
He
wants
really
free
likes
stuff.
You
Brazel.
want something free?
All right,
Talk
Andy,
about
send him
de-
something free.
Talk about derailing the podcast.
yeah,
Just get to the question.
all right. Thanks, Mr. Focus.
The voice of maturity of the show.
What do you think is a comparable salary for a student
$1
pastor?
million.
Derail.
For a student pastor to a senior pastor. So 10 years, the guy's in student ministry, senior pastor, 25 years. The reason I ask is because I'm below the state's poverty level, while the pastor makes almost 3 times what I do, and his wife does well in her field. He wants me to stay
But
full-time.
his wife's salary doesn't matter.
He wants me to stay full-time, but keeps pressuring me to find additional work that won't conflict with my student ministry, because he knows it's an 8 to 5 job. But I've also gone back to school to continue my education. We love the people, especially the students. Within the last couple of months, we've seen God do some awesome things in the ministry. I can see God doing awesome things, but because of insecurities and lack of a backbone and vision, I believe the growth is getting bottlenecked. Your wisdom is appreciated.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
So is there a connection between the salary issues and having a no backbone?
I would agree. It feels like there's a
Was
correlation
that a
between the
leadership?
two.
Was that directed at leadership?
Yeah.
Well, I
that
couldn't tell, as
directed
I
at
was
himself?
reading it, I couldn't tell if it was insecurities of backbone and vision was his or the senior pastor's.
Let's just assume it's his.
Well, let's forget that part and answer the question.
Let's just talk about salaries. Okay. You're always going to get paid less than the senior pastor,
Which we've
no doubt
talked
about
we've
it.
talked about before. You should get paid less. You don't have the responsibilities.
Absolutely. Come to terms with that right away. You're never going to get paid. And typically, church budgets are public, especially
They
a
are?
smaller church. Oh, yeah. The whole congregation will get to see it. So you'll know exactly what the senior pastor's making, and you'll know what the youth pastor's making. There's only a couple people on staff, and sometimes that's tough.
Well, one of the things that, and it may be one of those things that you just got to say all the time, is that when somebody says yes to a job, you're saying yes to a salary.
Mm-hmm.
And before you do that, you got to take a lot of things into consideration. So many people are eager just to get a job
Right.
that they go, man, just the thrill to
Yeah.
be paid is awesome. And they say yes to that, but then they become bitter 6 months later when they realize,
They can't make ends.
well, yeah, we're not paying the bills, or boy, I found out what somebody else made, on and on, which
You
is
need
one
to
of
do
the.
some basic budgetary practices.
That is true. That is true.
Well, and I think you've got he does have a great point, though, about the poverty line. He can bring that up to the pastor or to the elder board or whatever and talk about what he's getting in relationship to the poverty line. I think that's a valid point.
Well, anytime you compare what you make to somebody else, that's always a tough one, because it starts to wound your heart and become
Absolutely.
bitter and go, gosh, well, I do this, and I was working on the 4th in meetings where my phone was going off. Was that on podcast or before the podcast?
Right
before the podcast.
Before, okay,
Sorry.
so
Yeah, insider.
yeah, it's too sorry.
Super derail.
Right, but the people like
anytime
me
you
more,
compare-
I work
anytime
harder.
you compare,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
lose on that. Jana, what do you think?
Well, I think the poverty line is probably your best fighting point of just and being practical in that and saying, hey, here's what we did that a few years ago. I mean, many years ago at Saddleback, going, hey, we need to bring our minimum wage people up to.
Because the state told us.
Well, we had to reevaluate some things, and had to listen to some people's comments from that. So I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's fair and needs to be brought to attention for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and do you think it's possible that if there's a review system in place that it's brought up with some research and some data? I mean, I know Group
that's-
does an annual survey that talks about what youth pastors make. If you come not loaded, for a fight, but I mean, if you come prepared, I think you got a much better shot than, I think a lot of youth workers just, whine about it or are frustrated about it and they don't take any action.
But I think that what you said, doing your homework a little bit before accepting the job of going, what is the review system here? What is the, typically does that happen once a year? At that time, am I expected to get a raise? Is that performance based or is that cost of living? Do your homework so your expectations are clear before accepting that position.
And I would agree with that because to me, many churches are notoriously bad for this, for human resources, for
Sure.
that type of a skill set just seems to be lacking in a lot of churches. So know what you're getting involved in. But I think this guy, he's there. I mean, he or she, whatever, I don't remember. They're stuck there. They're in that church. I think now it's time to make a pitch for a raise.
Or do a bake sale and skim a little bit off the top.
Well,
if you're called to that church.
But he's not stuck there. So
Yeah,
if
you're not stuck.
if you make your play and say, Pastor, here's church board, whoever, here's my expenses. We don't, we cut out cable. We don't have a third car. Whatever
Right,
it is.
right.
We're not
We're
living,
reasonable people.
Rented
as
out
you
the
would say,
vacation
Josh, in your
home.
homeschool world, high on the hog. We're not living high on the hog. We're
What? That was a cheap shot.
why is that a cheap shot?
What does high on the hog have to do with homeschool? Well, unless it's
That's
the
like
H,
replying to
the
all.
H sound. That makes it funny. Homeschool, high on the hog. Good
So would
humor.
you
I like
H-
it.
Well, okay, well, let me ask you this.
Sounds
Would you make an
funny.
ultimatum to the church that says, I've got to get above the poverty line, or I'm going to have to look at outside work and potentially leave.
Don't you think part of that has to do with how long he's been there, though?
I don't think of that at all. Just
What?
kidding.
Just good way to come strong, though. I mean, can you do that? Can you?
I think there are times you have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, for example, when we were before we came to Saddleback, we knew that we wanted to start a family. We knew that we didn't want Kathy to work, and that was value we talked about. You know, before we got married, as we were married, she didn't want to work.
No more Heidi's Frogen user.
And I said to the church, you know, hey, here's what we're doing. We're want to start a family, and here's what we're doing. I can't make it on this salary. Would totally understand if you folks
Can't pay
don't
us?
want to budget at that. We just want to let you know. You let us know, and
Yeah.
we'll look elsewhere. And we feel called to ministry, and that's what we want to do. Now, you know, the church was gracious and said, no, you know, you've been here, you've got a track record, we want to keep you.
We'll give
But
you your own
as I've
truck.
said on this podcast several times, nobody fights for your salary.
I agree.
I mean, very rarely do you have a boss who is going to come to you and go, hey, you know what, we need to give you.
It's been a while since your last raise. Let's take care of that.
Yeah.
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 Very
Sorry
rare.
about that, Josh.
Anna. I know the present company excluded, I hope. But no, seriously, it's true. No one's fighting for it, and you probably aren't either. You know, and maybe that's because we're afraid to approach the subject of money, or we don't want to lose our job. Or
Well,
offend
money's
people.
a weird one. I would just say to
Yeah.
this email that came in, I
Yeah.
think anytime you compare to the senior pastor, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
Because you can tell it's already gone a little backwards, because compared to the senior pastor, he's lumping in the senior pastor's wife in
Yeah.
there. And so
Yeah,
he's,
that
he's
was
saying,
beyond
in some ways, he's
ridiculous.
going, that family's got plenty of money. We
And
don't.
we're dying on a pot.
And I understand that feeling. I understand that looking around going, oh my gosh, you know, how come everybody else is driving a car and I'm riding my bike? But
You got to see it. It's really weird. He's
at
biking
some
everywhere.
point, you know, it's the parable, Matt. What's the parable where you work for a day and you agreed to this much?
Yeah.
And you come in the guy comes in at the end and is paid the same amount, and
The parable of the day laborer.
Yeah, the funny thing, our HR department was talking about wanting equality across the board, and I just was thinking to myself, okay, that's great. What do you mean by equality? And anyhow, but we're missing a key
You're
part
so
of the story.
soft-spoken today.
I know. I'm trying not to derail.
You don't
I
have
get
to
more.
do-
I get more when I get excited and fired up. I derail us.
Okay, I just was watching Nadine turn the sound.
Well, that's good.
which, by the way, we have to address the fact that we're getting a new soundboard next week.
Oh, the fire pod.
It's already
How
here.
cool
I saw
is
it in
that
the box
name?
in the office.
Oh yeah.
All right, Matt. did you
Sorry,
have-
Matt.
That
No,
means
there's
the
a-
quality
we're
of our
missing
sound's
a
going to
key-
go up, so the quality of our show has to go up too.
That's why
The
Matt's
quality
not
of the
derailing
show-
anymore.
Quality of the show couldn't go any higher.
We're missing a key point, though. You were
Yeah,
saying.
we're missing a key point in this, is that the senior pastor had the brilliant audacity to ask this guy to find another job that did interfere with his youth ministry duties.
Can you get some side work?
That is brilliant. You got to give him points for creativity
I
and
agree.
Creativity.
Scroogeness.
And Scrooge just love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Money's
Well,
weird.
I mean,
A couple years ago, Doug asked me to get a paper route.
6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Had
so you
to
can be
fit
in the
with your
office
bike.
by 8.
Yeah, to fit with my bike.
because Matt said, "Man, the Fields family has all these cars, and I'm riding my bike." He's the
Does
senior.
he look like he's been riding his bike?
Oh, that's also a low blow. That's a high hog blow right there.
It was a beach cruiser. I just kick back all the time.
Well, let's
Next question.
Okay, money issues. They're rough. They're rough. It
You could
hurts.
tell your
But
senior
I
pastor,
do-
it's not like God needs the money.
I do have one thing, just to affirm what you're saying, Fields, is because I had a conversation with somebody this week. They're in a certain stage of life where they are having their first child, works at a church, gets no benefits, no retirement, only a salary. And my comment was, it might be time for you to look at a different situation. And there was tons of pushback, like they don't want to leave, they love their church, they love their students, they don't want to leave their students. But
Somehow they will grow spiritually without that person.
well,
it's hard
and
to
your
imagine
family still
that.
has to be your priority, and you're moving into a new season of life, and
Yeah, you
have
sacrifice
different
so
responsibilities.
much.
So
Somehow God
Yeah.
can grow people without me. I don't know how he does it.
Well, and the pushback comes from that person, and I don't know who you're talking about, but the pushback comes from the idea that it is so difficult to leave a church that you love, and it's so difficult to leave those kids, and you think, man, gosh, and it even enhances your bitterness toward that church. Like, don't they know that everything in the youth ministry is going so well? And if I only had $7,000 more, which is nothing, I mean, you should see how much my senior pastor makes. And we bought
the pulpit costs $7,000.
But and a little bit too is we preach longevity. We're like, youth workers, stay at your church. Don't skip around. Don't move around. Don't leave your students. Be faithful to your students. So it's a little bit of a tension situation where you want to be faithful to that. And I think we touched on it a little bit last week about being faithful to your call.
Yeah.
And that gets confusing. I would say.
Well, and the reality of conversations about money in your church, like where does a youth worker go to a safe place and talk about money? It's hard to do that in your own church because then you're seen as divisive, and then you talk to a business person who maybe is a friend with an elder who it gets back to the senior pastor, and that's a tough one. I just think the biggest one in that is you can't compare to the senior pastor. You said yes to a salary. If it's not meeting your current needs, you have to try to negotiate with the church. If the church says, no, this is all we're doing, then that may be a sign of your performance in some ways. I mean, unless the church is strapped in all areas. But if you came to me and I'm the senior pastor and you said, Pastor, here's the situation. I don't know if I can keep working here. Well, if I want you to stay here and we're making our payments, and
maybe finally this person's catching the drift.
No, it's a good point. Well,
let's be honest. How often would that happen in the church where we don't want to be honest with one another? So we say, let's just don't give the guy a raise for
see if he just leaves.
So he leaves, because we'd rather do that than not be honest.
We avoid the conflict and still get rid of it. Yeah.
I just would like to say, store up for yourself treasures in heaven.
The new softer,
gentler
man.
Oh yeah, he's back.
I just keep seeing the Deem turn his sound up.
He'll be up full.
The hot dog guy brought the belt back to America.
Oh, yeah.
He did? Kobayashi didn't win?
Yep. No, Kobayashi lost by 2. He threw up a few, didn't he?
No, I got to watch the replay.
Do you have to eat them again if you throw them up?
Well, I think they don't get penalized.
Yeah, they don't count.
I don't know how
do they count them?
I don't know.
You have to hold them
for they got to be pretty much whole.
Huh?
Yeah, they
Well, when you throw them up, how do they figure out? So, if those of you that don't know, this is a hot dog eating contest.
I was going to say, people
who doesn't know what just happened?
Well, hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July. It's on Sports Center, the whole bit. Yeah, Kobayashi did like 64, and the other guy did 66.
No, America rules.
Yeah.
But he had the record for how many
6 years. He was almost the Lance Armstrong of hot dogs.
Unbelievable.
Who's Lance Armstrong?
Andy?
That makes me feel really
all right.
Kind of undermines
How is it
old
that
Lance,
the guy that
it?
went to the moon is the same as the guy?
Neil Armstrong.
Oh, gosh.
Jeff Smith was commenting about Matt.
Thank you.
He was commenting about
So
you
funny.
last week. He says, I've been away on the mission trip. On Monday, I was catching up on emails, and I had episode 51 playing in the background, which is probably what pretty much all we are is background.
Oh.
People are doing
The
real
fact
work.
that they play it out loud, though, for other people to hear.
To my delight, I hear Doug read my question. I quickly drop, which I would read your question if you send it to podcast at simpleyouthministry.com
Please do.
this week, so I don't have to go into the pink archives.
And I'll send it to Doug at 1 a.m.
I quickly dropped what I was doing and turned to my computer, only to be greeted by Matt giving off this low guttural burp. It was truly touching that y'all read my question, but better than that, it was such a good question that it caused McGill to have gastrointestinal backup on camera. Thank you for making my week.
See, those are good burps.
Oh.
And it was silently. You turned the sound down. And you weren't here last week, but Matt knew that he had a little
There was
bit
a couple times where I just...
He had a bad burrito, and so...
No, it was first thing in the morning. That's the weirdest part.
You know what it is? It's diet soda.
We have a lot of Propel happening.
I know.
on the
I was
table here.
noticing this, too. 3?
I brought
7?
3, but I was surprised. Jana brought a Starbucks today, so I'm only into one propeller.
Jana went to AM/PM, didn't call me and say, "Can I get you anything?"
Well, what is that you're drinking? Have we talked about the
The
wheatgrass
green
that you're eating?
grass.
It's called Green on the Go.
You
Ugh.
mowed the lawn, and
It's
then
this little packet, and you put it in water, and you shake it up.
and it doesn't mix very
You know
well.
what? I'd blog about it, but I don't blog.
Oh wow!
How
Let me
does it
smell
taste?
Huh?
Huh? This smells surprisingly good.
Well, it's not that good. You got to get a taste for it. But it's supposed to be all your greens for the day.
What are greens? Your vegetables?
Like broccoli and whatever. Scale of 1 to 10.
11.
Costco, which I love. Went there the other day.
God.
How many packets did you
I
buy?
bought 52 razors.
For like $4 probably.
52 razors. They were in this sweet little package. Kathy goes, "You never get." Dear, look, this is such a deal. 52. That's the great thing about Costco.
It is great. Derail.
Costco, and for a bunch of people, it could be Sam's Club would be the equivalent
Yeah.
to Costco.
Yeah.
'Cause a
And
lot of
for
people-
some
Josh and I
people,
were having
Price
a
Club.
conversation the other
Yeah.
day that people do not know. Some people do not know what Costco is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Costco is
Why would some people not know about something in California?
hard to believe.
I
No,
know.
Costco's
Amazing.
all over the place.
No.
Wasn't it on
It's
the
not all
OC?
over
So
the-
everybody
I
knows?
feel like an Outback bet is coming on
I
right
was
now.
going to say, Costco's in Mexico. Costco.
is.
I don't think there's one in
Yeah,
Michigan
that's
though.
just-
But
It's
I
in
don't think there's
NAFTA.
one in Michigan.
Sam's
Seriously.
Club.
There's Sam's Club
How about
everywhere.
Piggly Wiggly?
Texas.
Cracker Barrel?
Texas.
All right, you guys are
What's
derailing
Piggly
this.
Wiggly?
Cracker Barrel.
What is it compared to,
Piggly
though? I know what
Wiggly
it is.
Like
Oh.
Vons or
If you
Alpha
know what
Bear.
it is,
Like a
then why are you
small-
I mean,
asking?
I've heard of it
Grocery
before.
drugstore.
I just didn't know if it was.
I'm new to
Cracker
youth
Barrel.
ministry. This is Matt Bailey
Oh,
of
here we-
Leesburg Church of the Nazarene, Leesburg, Virginia.
Yay.
I'm 22. I'm getting married in September, and love the podcast.
Congratulations.
The senior pastor is expecting that I put in
you
at
sure
least
you wanna get married?
60 hours a week as a bare minimum. He puts
Wow.
in 80 to 95 a week.
Quit.
Yep. No,
There you go.
no.
Next question.
Yeah.
No. Hey.
I don't want to jeopardize my
But
new
what about the
marriage.
students I'm investing in?
And they pay me bad.
And I ride a bike.
Buy my bike.
Amazing.
Busted out a little humor. We
call
don't
back.
typically, for those of you that find it, we don't typically expect any humor from Janet. So when it happens, that is
It
joyous.
is a treat and a delight.
All right, here we go. Real question.
I want to jeopardize. I don't want to jeopardize my new marriage before it starts, but I'm new and I don't want to get fired either. He explained during the interview that he put in 60 hours, but didn't expect his staff to. But now that seems to have changed. What would you suggest?
All right. He was lying in the
A
first place.
conversation.
Probably.
Yeah, I would.
A quick talk.
Real simple. One, talk to him.
To quit.
No, you got to have a conversation. You know, September's rolling around. You're going to have new marriage. You will become.
Yeah.
The reality is you're going to become like the environment you work in. On the most part.
I'm going to lose my hair.
Oh no! But you are going to send emails at 1 a.m.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just think about youth ministry when you're with your wife and count it as work hours.
Exactly. Well, let's just step away from that and say, what's a reasonable amount of time? What is a reasonable work week? 40 is obviously kind of a government whatever. 45, 50, 55? Does church,
I
do
think
church hours
salary
count?
positions sometimes say 50 hours, though. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
pretty standard.
New subject.
Right answer. Ding, ding,
That
ding.
is okay. Next time. Well, what do we think? 40 to 50. Is that a nice window? An example.
Well,
When you're on an overnighter, do you count all the hours that you're?
Well, why do you take 2 days off during the week when the Bible says take one?
Fair enough.
So maybe it's more.
Maybe we should work 60 hours a week. I don't know. What's the right answer?
I don't know
The
if there
right
is a
answer
right
is
answer.
have a conversation.
Yeah.
If you sat in an interview and you heard one thing and now something else is being expected of you, then you need to have a conversation.
But there are a lot of, if you make this more general to more people listening, there are a lot of people working in environments where their senior pastor is working crazy hours, and
Yeah.
even though he or she says, I don't expect you to work like this, they do.
Absolutely.
And it also a stage of life. So like at Saddleback, Rick Warren doesn't have any kids. All his kids are out of the house. So, as somebody who, he's my direct report. When he,
No, you're his direct report.
Yeah.
on paper.
Yeah.
But you know, when he at Thursday at 9 calls a meeting for the next day, you know, he's not thinking that, oh wait, that's the last day of school and kids might be getting out.
There's graduation.
You know,
there's
so
a
there's
game.
just
There's,
you know, you have to push back at times and go, boy, I'd love to. I can't. I can't do that. They're just in different, a lot of times different seasons of life, and this guy's new marriage. I don't know how old this pastor is, but this pastor might be kids out. That's all he does is build the church and work on the church, and
Yeah, he
That's
might
tough
be a
to keep
total
up.
loser and have no family or anything like that.
or not have any sense of balance on that.
Yeah.
Andy,
The kid does have to check himself, though. He's probably young.
What kid?
ambitious.
Oh,
yeah,
you
The youth worker?
He's 22 years
Yeah.
old.
He has to check himself because there may be an expectation of a lot of hours, but he could put in a good amount of time and still be totally making senior pastor happy. And he's just ambitious and wants to please. Because I know
Right.
that personally
Right.
from when I was his age.
You had a boss that was working 80 hours?
No, never had that.
But I think there's a sense of guilt when you're at home, you're going home, and the senior pastor's still there, or you leave for an afternoon
I've
early.
got no guilt on that.
No, I think that's a sign of maturity, though, where you can
Thank you.
leave and you don't think about it. But I think a 22-year-old, 25-year-old,
Well,
even
he says, I
they're
don't want to.
fighting that.
He says,
every
I don't
day.
want to get fired. He wrote that in.
Yeah.
I don't want to get
Well,
fired.
I was just thinking, though, is there a way for you to kind of track what you're doing, be accountable to something, so that if something does come into question, you have some type of record of saying, hey,
Yeah.
here's what I worked, here's where I was, here's what I was doing, here's the goals that I set for myself, and here's what I've accomplished.
Yeah, and are you wasting your time while you're working? Because I would tell somebody, hey, you need to work 50 hours because I know I'm barely going to get 30 hours out of them, that they're going to be talking and hanging out. And
Well,
Right, that's
and
a
in
good
youth
point, too.
ministry, the whole idea of relational ministry and, how much time is he spending, and does his senior pastor does he value that kind of ministry, relational ministry? Does he count that as, some of his work hours? Again, conversation, have some clear expectations.
I started in February, he says. He's getting married in September, so what's 6 months from February? Isn't that about now?
Yeah, right now.
Hey, can we do a 6-month review and talk about here's what I sense. I know I'm new in this thing. You said not to work more than 60 hours. I'm sensing it different. Just be honest
Right.
there. What are you looking for?
Well, and hopefully let the senior pastor, let him or her release you from that guilt that you feel, or have now you have a written.
Yeah.
Here's my notes from that meeting where it was 60, and here's my 60 hours. Or
Yeah.
I mean, I think you've got to write this down.
When the playing game is clear,
yeah,
then it's a lot
Yeah.
easier to work. We were talking about that the other day because Jan and I are working on a situation with budget related to next week's student leadership conference, and we've got 2 guys at Saddleback talking different language when it comes to budget, and both of them are opposing. One person says this about the PDYM budget, another person says this about PDYM budget, and Jan and I are going, hey, look, just land on one, you guys.
Right.
As soon as you
Yeah,
land
we
on
can
one,
play
we'll play
either
by
way.
that way,
That's
but
right.
just be clear about what it is, and that's what it seems like Matt here needs to do. Is to-
Can we just speak real quick to his marriage, though, and just saying invest in your marriage this first year,
Absolutely.
and don't miss this first year. This is a foundation to.
And if you screw up year 1, then you have year 2 to fix.
Well,
Yeah, you have,
No.
You mean you're going to be fixing it for the rest of your marriage?
yeah, but
Well, I just meant that both are true.
get in the habit, though, of doing your marriage right
Absolutely.
early on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
That was the-
What matters most, Janet?
That's right.
that'd be a good book.
It would.
Oh, well.
It is. I mean, all right. Mondi Cano.
Andy just smiled.
Mondi Cano from Rock the World, ROC.
All right, Mandy.
In Dallas.
Mondi?
Dallas,
Rock the
Texas.
World. Is that Oh, that's Rock the Universe.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's Orlando.
He's just rocking the world, though.
Yeah.
Not the entire universe. Just he's
So weak.
He's only working 60 hours a week. The Rock the Universe guy's up to 80 or 90.
Mhm. Here we go.
Uh-huh.
You ready?
Fundraising is one thing I really hate. This goes back to last week. Our church is mostly Hispanic immigrants. Much of the church is below the poverty level, so we fundraise for everything. The church has grown numerically, so I now receive a salary, but we get nothing as far as budget. But we did spend over $24,000 last year on different activities, so it can be done. So here's a
Wow.
guy who's lives in a low socioeconomic environment, raised $24,000 for the youth ministry. Themes for the last 3 summer camps, Andy will love this. Life Hurts, God Heals. Beyond the Yearbook, He Did What?
Beautiful.
Isn't that
There
cool?
you go.
Hey,
That's
why don't we do
incredible
this?
Is it he
Mondi?
did what or he did what?
Mondi, let's give Mondi a 4th of July special.
A
Okay?
picture of Brazel and some 4th of July Speedos.
Yeah, why don't
American flags. Because
That's not. That's not.
Hey, speaking of
win.
bathing suits, you
What
got to
about
see
his
the
wife
video.
would like
McGill
that?
didn't have a shirt on for the video we shot
oh,
yesterday.
fantastic!
Yeah, it was.
I
It
can't
was.
wait.
Yeah. Anyway, let's give him 4 free products, Andy.
Wow.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
What matters most?
Wow.
Yeah, he's already got. But I love the fact that here's a guy who our products were his summer camp and helped him out. And
he's a good dude. He came out to PDYM a couple years ago.
He doesn't have
You
any
know
budget,
him?
but he
Yep.
spent it here.
He wrote me an email the week after it happened, and he said the subject line was "the big Mexican in the front row."
Oh, I remember
He's
this.
a
I
good
remember
dude.
this. Okay,
Good dude.
That's
Happy
cool.
4th of July.
Yeah, he's
4
a
free
PDYM
things.
guy.
Yeah, good dude.
He's part of our PDYM community.
Yep, you got
Good.
it.
Oh, even better.
There you go.
Kyle Schmitz from Bloomington, Minnesota, home of the Mall of America. he
Yes,
says.
it is.
We did the Pink Flamingo fundraiser. This is a callback to last
Yep.
week.
Yep.
Goodness.
And it
Oh.
went great until someone from our church flamingo napped all 40 of our pink flamingos and held them ransom for $50. Sadly, nobody paid the $50 ransom fee, and there's been no sign of the flamingos since.
Oh, that's
So
not
somebody
a fundraiser.
hijacked the fundraiser after it worked
Well,
for a while.
maybe you should spend some of the fundraiser funds to get him back.
Here is Chris
Very
Burke
simple
from
problem.
Maddock, Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
Similar to
Oh,
the
Canada.
Flamingo insurance fundraiser, we just completed the goat
They do hockey
insurance.
buckets.
So slow. So slow. We already said goat. Insurance fundraiser. You nominate a friend to get a goat. I call them and offer them insurance. If they buy insurance, their name comes off. If not, the name goes in a draw, and at the end of the fundraiser, all the people who didn't buy insurance, someone gets stuck with a goat. We raise lots of money doing this, and we'll be making it an annual thing. Yes, I live in a hick town.
You didn't have to say that.
What do you stake the goat to their front lawn? It's yours. What do you
Well,
do?
Those
That's
guys
a
are not
funny
in the
thing.
hog.
Can you imagine not wanting the goat?
Oh,
I love it.
Here's a question from Ryan Tackett, Walla Walla, Washington. We've got a few Walla Walla.
Oh, yeah.
That's just one that's
there's
easy to remember.
many,
Wow.
many of those cities.
What'd you just
Well,
mumble?
There's many of those cities. It's like Springfield.
Oh.
There's many Walla Walla, Washingtons?
Yeah, I just was kidding.
I was going to say, I would challenge that for Outback right now.
Are you dying to eat
I'm
it
a little
Outback
hungry.
right
I
now?
haven't eaten Outback in a long. It's been probably a year.
Have you ever made a bet yourself? Or
No,
you just try
I
to get
get
in on
on-
everybody
I
else's
almost
bets?
did there. I almost got
It's
in on
not
Walla
bets,
Walla.
it's meals.
It's kind of like his opinions.
What does that mean?
Oh. Oh.
Oh, does he have his own opinions that he's taking his stand on? That's what
All
I'm
right,
saying.
let's talk about it over lunch.
At Outback.
Sure.
No. Josh is good. He is the consummate, like, moderator. Like,
Yeah.
let's get a discussion going, and hey, what do you think about this? And don't you think? And I mean, he's the
Yeah.
No, way to
talk show.
backpedal. You're basically
Yeah,
saying he
you
doesn't
just
have any
became me
strong
right there.
convictions.
I became
That was me.
no. I'm not trying to backpedal anything.
Maybe that's why he didn't invite you to Hollywood to see the Transformers.
Yeah, by the way, I went to Hollywood and saw the movie up at the ArcLight before everybody else, and you weren't invited.
That's true.
Ryan Tackett from Walla
So
Walla,
you did have a
Washington.
strong opinion on that. I
You weren't
appreciate.
his
I
friend.
appreciate that.
No,
I
I
appreciate
took
that.
a friend who was a super fan.
No,
I
I'm
would've
talking
taken
about
you,
on the
but-
podcast. If you sat down with Josh and you talk about something, you get his opinion. But you
Okay.
can't say on the podcast
Wow.
you're not the. Hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that?
Hey, we got a little fight coming on, don't you
I
think,
know.
Jim?
I think we might rumble
No, I
today.
just like clarity is okay for me. That's a good thing.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
3 rounds right now.
Walla Walla.
Clear this propel. All right, here we go.
Do you have any advice for finding the right fit for an internship without being able?
Shape.
You're the king of the
I'm
one
going to do the
word.
derail button right here.
Isn't that supposed to be on eBay?
I don't know.
Can't you
What?
tell?
Oh
Sorry
my
about that.
word.
I know. Sorry. I don't. Yeah.
Remember to do things.
Yeah. I'm busy.
Unless it's one
I'm
in the
busy
morning.
eating one of them. Yeah, I'll get them on eBay.
All right.
Give it here.
No.
All right.
It's too valuable.
All right.
Do we have any advice for finding the right fit for an internship without being able to go visit all the churches, camps I'm considering before taking a job? So basically, how do you find an internship? Jana, at Saddleback
Yes.
Church, you are the queen, you are the director,
Yeah.
you are the grand poobah, you are the...
Poobah.
Room and Thurum.
That's an odd word.
Nothing.
Poobah.
Well, I would say, obviously, you want to.
That's body language. He's hiding.
No,
he's
soft
quiet today. That's
I
what I
make one
said.
comment about let's don't
No,
derail the show.
look, go
and
back on all the podcasts. I'm always looking down. I
All
can't.
right. You're just so soft spoken.
Oh,
And just humble, meek man.
I'm coy.
So, Jana,
What do I have to do with those fish?
here we go. Jana is
Jana
the queen.
oversees the
Move 'em out of
internship
the-
program at Saddleback Church,
Yes.
which is started as a youth ministry internship, and
Which,
is
if
now
you're a slacker, don't come be an intern here.
well, they can't because
Yeah.
it takes 2 years. You got to commit to
Well,
2
and
years.
she would
No.
screen out. She would screen
Slackers.
out slackers.
We've had slackers come.
I don't think we've had slackers come since I've been in charge of the
Well,
internship.
I haven't
Not
done
on
the
Jana's
I haven't done the
Thank
youth
you.
ministry.
But we
No, I'm
have
just
we have
I
internship
hear
more than youth ministry. We have
Yes.
like music interns and
Musicians.
small groups.
Yeah.
And,
Missions, small groups, college ministry. Yeah.
great. Okay, so how do you find a
Um,
good internship? I'm not.
but
even
I would say,
I'm not even
first off-
respond to this one. This is all you.
Oh, all right.
First off, you got to do your homework. You got to be willing to put in some time because if you want to be comfortable there and you want to get the most out of it, you got to be willing to put in some time. I would have conversations by phone for sure with the director of the internship program or whoever is going to oversee you in the internship program. I would have conversations with people who have been interns in that program
good
before.
one.
What did they get out of it? What did they like the most? What was the hardest part of it? What didn't they like about the internship? And you know what? I would also say get down to 3, maybe 2 or 3, and visit for sure. I know you don't want to.
Well, it costs
but-
money. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to invest a significant amount of your time and you're thinking that this is really going to shape your ministry,
In your life.
yeah, you want to know. You want to be sure that this is a good fit for you.
Well, at one point we made a decision that
Oh, you weren't going to answer.
I'm not answering.
Just he's moderating right now.
At one point,
Playing Josh.
I was waiting for an Outback conversation comment to pop right up there.
At one point, we made a decision that we wouldn't.
we wouldn't take people who we didn't meet.
Right.
Because I mean, even international, we've got some people. We've had a couple international bombs, but we've had some international superstars as well.
International
Lisa.
bombs.
That feels unpolitically correct.
No, we've had a couple people that we said because they're from out of the country, we won't. You don't have to come visit. You don't have to interview, and they turned out to not be.
Right.
They sounded
Yeah.
We
great.
didn't do
That
our
was before we
homework.
had an internship program.
What we
dude.
do right
No.
now is internationals.
Here,
Because
write
we
out the
don't
name
want
of who
them.
you're saying.
Can't remember his name.
Zurin.
No way.
Just kidding. Love you, Zurin.
Zurin's like-
Germany. Go Germany. He's our man. That's the only way I could
It
say
would be. I would like to know who you would consider.
Okay, I'll tell
Okay,
you afterwards.
yeah,
Yeah.
not now.
Well, I was going to have him write it down.
So we need to do our homework too, as the place that has the internship.
No, but even for what we say for international interns, for instance, we say the first 3 months that you're here is our observation time. You observing us and us observing you.
And
at
then we tell our other interns it's an at-will internship, and we could cancel at any time.
our other interns,
Wow.
they have to come to Saddleback. We have to have a face-to-face conversation. They have to be on our campus, see our ministries,
Yeah.
have conversations with players, multiple players, not just
Right.
team leaders.
Okay, and let's talk about the why behind
At
that.
their cost.
Here's
At
why.
their
We
cost.
brought somebody on as an intern, and about 1 year in, we thought to ourselves, if we would have met
do we
this
get rid
guy,
of
there's
One
not.
year in or 1 week
Day.
in?
did, yeah.
You know, maybe it was a day.
Yeah.
But
Early on,
but the
we-
person,
It seemed like
the
a year,
person
though, with a
who could have
non-fit.
been male or could have been female or maybe even both, is that they ended up being great.
Well,
But we decided we had to visit.
so much of working with somebody is chemistry. And is there a fit? Do we like them? Do they like us? Can we see ourselves developing a relationship? Or we just can we be on the same team? Do we?
Yeah.
There's just people you're going. This feels like I don't know you very well, but it feels like it could sure be a fit. Or we took you into 3 or 4 different environments, and you're painfully uncomfortable in all of them. But
Which I consider to be a good thing. No, just kidding. More important than doing all your homework and all that stuff, I mean, the longer the internship, the more homework you should do and the more investment you need to be put in. But more important than quote-unquote finding the right place is your attitude going into it. I think that if you have the attitude of, I'm going to make this work, or I'm going to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, that's what an internship is. I'm going to learn.
That's what an internship is, but that is a low percentage.
Well, people could go in.
I would say
interns.
is, what are your expectations though? What do you want to learn? I mean, are you looking for somebody to handhold you the whole time? Are you looking for? You need to be clear on what you're looking for. You know, if you're looking for a classroom environment where somebody's sitting you down and teaching you, then you need to know that too, so that you, before you even start looking at internships, figuring out what exactly do you want to learn and how do you want to learn it.
Well, and there are people listening to youth workers who are going, you know what, I'd love an intern, but a lot of us don't realize how much work it is to have an intern. I mean, there's work on both ends of it. You know, it's not just free labor. And one of the reasons that we went to 2 years for our internship was because we went.
The first year they're worthless.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's
Wow.
not true.
No, it's just that 2 years is
Here's
we give to them
the
and they give to
statement
us.
is year one, they win big. The church doesn't. Year two, the church wins big.
Yeah, or they're worthless.
Or they're worthless both years. End of story.
Jan, if
I
somebody
think
was
that's good.
interested in being an intern,
Yeah.
Intern at
Saddleback?
simplyyouthministry.pdym.
Huh? No. For intern and internship at Saddleback, email me, Jana, Janas, at S as in Sam, at saddleback.net.
And then go to saddlebackfamily.com too and click on.
Saddleback.com
Oh,
/internships.
There you go.
That's
Alright.
simple.
Wow.
what are some signs? This is from Jeremy Spence. What are some
Stop
signs
one-way
of
signs,
burnout?
No U-turn.
bitterness, derailment,
Lack of motivation.
Soft talking.
coy,
Mock of the intern.
putting your hand on your cheek like this.
Angry
Cheek.
comments.
On your chin?
Like this.
All right. Signs of what?
Proud to
Burnout?
be
Burnout.
an
Burnout. Signs of burnout.
American. Yabba-dee-ba-do-ba-dee. What do you think?
Extended period of time of lack of motivation.
Which is most people in the world have a lack of motivation, so that's tough.
The burnout.
Most people in the world, based on your research.
She's rocking the universe right now.
I'd stand by that strong.
Okay, so most people you've worked with then.
No. Most people, you look around and look at 30 people around you. Do they
Is the
lack
question
motivation?
for him, is he feeling like he's burned out, or is the question for, is somebody in his circle might be burned out?
Well, he actually gives Matt a little props in this one. Since
Thank you.
Matt isn't prepping for the show, I realized that to have a chance of being read on the podcast, I would have to put it in a question. So here goes. Well, I guess it's not a prop for Matt. What are some signs of burnout, and when, like, what year do you think is a crucial year for it?
Year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And up.
Well, you know,
9, 10, 11, 12.
the classic answer in a church is 5 to 7 years.
Right.
But at Saddleback, you know, Rick Warren talks about his first year he had a meltdown.
was it a year
Burnout.
2?
I think it was.
Well,
year
don't you
one.
think the average stay of a youth pastor
That
is
doesn't
less
matter.
than 2 years? So obviously, right in there is the boiling point where something happens.
Or they find a better
But is
job.
They find a better job, or they burn out and leave ministry, or leave
Or
that
they
church.
get their
Or
flamingos stolen and they're like, forget it, I'm done.
they're
They got the
but,
goat.
but don't you think somewhere in there you realize, I'm underpaid, I'm overworked. That has to lead to burnout.
Okay, well, let's go back to what Janice. Let's just start rattling a few off that come to your mind. So you
Okay,
said
what is
extended-
burnout? Can we define burnout? What do you mean by burnout? What do we all mean by burnout?
I'm guessing the feeling of not caring anymore, not doing everything you can to just even show up. It's kind of like look at Nadim's face right now.
That explains it. I just don't care.
So I don't want to show up. I don't want to show up the next day. I don't want to show up the next day. Is that burnout?
I wish I was dead. I hate this job. I have no motivation. I'm not making a difference.
I'm not making a difference. I hate this job.
I
I
think
don't
when
want to
you
show up.
notice like
Tired.
a change in what your work ethic used to be to what your work ethic
Your-
is currently,
and your response to everything is negative, bitter, and
See, I think those,
Nice.
those
Jaded.
are definitely signs of.
Yeah, you're now talking about signs. Because, like, you know, doing Bible study, a lot of people you talk to, man, oh, I don't want to do Bible study tonight, you know. And so on your way there, you're like, oh, this sucks. And then you go home and it's like, oh, it was a great night. You know, I mean, that's a fairly common thing that people experience. So is that burnout, having that feeling?
I think burnout is referring to the end of your career, the end of your time at that church, maybe the end of your time in youth ministry. You
So
are
then it's
done.
well, I
not-
think there's a season of burnout. I don't think
Yeah,
it
so
has
then
to
it's not
only
possible
be-
to get through burnout? Is
I-
burnout fixable? That's why I just don't.
Well,
I think we
the
all
technical
mean
term. Tom Patterson,
different
who
things.
wrote the book of Life Planning,
No, the life you were meant to live.
The Life You Were Meant to Live. He says that when you hit burnout, you can't return. That
That's
the
what Josh is
the
saying.
medical term. Now, I don't think most people
Most
take
people would
burnout
take
that
it
way.
one
Yeah,
level
I don't think
before
that's-
I think
burnout,
burnout
right?
is like I'm just done, or I need a sabbatical, or I need
I need
something.
a change.
Yeah, that. So
Need
I
to
think
become
some
a
of the
senior
signs
pastor.
are you're tired. I think you lose your joy. You know, kids talk about the relationship with the Lord, and you're like, good, your breath is bad,
A little
move
bit.
on. You know, you're ready for something different.
Become
You don't.
numb to.
Yeah, everything becomes an obligation to attend rather than a desire. So that Bible study, oh, another obligation. You know, summer camp, another obligation. That's typically a
Yeah.
sign you're not feeling refreshed in terms of your time with the Lord. If you are having any quiet times, again, more out of obligation than desire.
Do you think you're turning other people? You're kind of tired, burned out, jaded, and so you're actively trying to bring people down with you? Do you think that could play into it too? Oh, you're positive about the church? I'm going to be negative right now, just to try to, you know, how you grab people as you're going
I'm
down.
sure people do that, but I don't think that's.
I don't think that's a motive of burnout. Like when I'm burnt out, that's the motive. I want to
Right.
bring other people down. I think would be
I'm sure.
a reaction.
Or
Yeah.
an expression of some people's.
Yeah, I
burnout,
can
but I don't
certainly
think that's
see it
everybody.
happening. Yeah.
I think working 80 hours a week will lead to burnout.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy that, I mean, we all know. I'm not going to say this person's name.
Bob.
Okay,
Just
we are
kidding.
going to say his name. You don't even know who it is.
I had-
Go.
I don't even know any Bobs.
Well, I was dropping my kid off at school one time, and I was coming out of the parking lot, and I saw this person who's in ministry driving. There was some traffic and the whole bit, and somebody made a bad move.
I know what international intern you're talking about.
And
Sorry.
and that'll be the new derail sign right there.
Yeah, see, that's why I didn't put it on eBay.
We need like an air horn, not a nice bell.
And I saw this guy honk his horn, but you could just see his face look evil, like. And I thought, he's burnt out. That was I just felt like the guy had.
No patience.
Well, it was done. But it was more than just like I'm ticked, I'm honking the horn. It was the expression, it was the look. I mean, I was 15 feet from the guy and saw it and know him well. And then I also know enough about his life to know that,
He's
you know,
done.
I'll tell you the name afterwards, and you would go, oh yeah, I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. But that was just a clear picture of what I think burnout looks like.
So did you get behind him and honk?
No.
You should have crashed
T-bone.
into him.
Yeah. I drive that way all the time. I might be close to burnout. I just realized it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I sat with somebody the other day on our church staff, and I just asked him. I said, "You've been through a lot lately. Where is your heart for the Lord?" Now, if somebody would give you an honest answer,
Yeah, that's a great question.
that's
Wow.
typically a sign that you're. You know, that's one of the first things I think to go in burnouts. People just go, "Oh, you know what? I got so much to do." They start checking things off the task list,
Right.
and your
Don't-
spiritual refreshment tends to go with that.
And I think too that you typically know, people in the church know if you're, I mean, it feels like people that are discerning, friends especially, people in your community, you've got to be sensitive to when someone is going through that season of burnout or that pain of,
Yeah.
or headed
ministry.
into that of
yeah.
cautioning
Or-
each other
right.
to
You
say,
see the warning signs and no one says anything about it.
Well,
yeah,
that gives you
that's
some
great.
indication of what kind of community you're in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if one of us was headed towards burnout, other people would notice
Absolutely.
and say something.
I would agree with that.
Don't you think?
But I don't
I
think
think so.
that's as common as we. I mean, I
No,
hope
I
that
don't
we
think
take.
I don't
we,
think community is common.
Right. Andy, you're heading towards burnout. I've been meaning to tell you.
Already there.
Okay, got that off my chest. All right.
You know, but Brazel is a great example of how not to lead to burnout. I mean, not to. That's
Working 10
Why
hours
is
a
that a
week.
joke?
He leaves parties early.
He's giving stuff away free all the time.
no, but he works really hard, but he knows how to pace himself, and he knows how to do things that are fun and energizing and recharging for him, and he doesn't overextend himself.
So, should we turn the conversation quick to how do you
How do you
recharge?
stay away
and how do
from-
you how do you avoid burnout? There's actually a great book I read early in ministry called How to Avoid Spiritual Burnout.
Brazel, that wasn't me making fun of you, but
No, that was a total
Yeah.
compliment.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, do you wanna
Everybody
jump in?
knows Brazel works very, very hard, but he also plays hard too. I mean, he's
mountain biking.
He's out. He's out of the office at realistic hours, and he's mountain biking. He's a great youth worker. He's always taking kids
Yep.
out, showing up to their games, doing things like that. He leaves
He's a
parties
podcast
really
enthusiast.
early.
4th of July parties are
Yeah.
let down.
He showed up.
Showed up.
He showed up at quarter.
But
till
that's a
early
perfect
and
example of
left
what I'm
it.
talking about. He goes to the party, and he's there for a lot of hours. First one there.
Well, he was counting those
But
as
then
work, though, 'cause it
he
was
and
a-
his wife want to watch the fireworks, and so they go to another place and watch the fireworks.
Yeah.
They do
Right.
both.
Right.
You know, rather than staying at the party and
So have a
being
hobby,
bummed
have
and
an
missing
outlet,
out.
have outside
Yeah.
friends.
Well, I have a life
Well-
outside of
Yeah.
ministry.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah,
Kathy
well,
and
I
I
don't
were
know about
first
that.
doing ministry, you know, all of our friends were youth ministry people or kids in the group. So,
Yeah.
you know, when we would do things, it was always ministry.
Yeah.
And there was it felt like nothing in our life was outside of ministry.
Right.
It was fun to go out to dinner with people. You know, Jeff Genoway was a fireman. He could care less about the lock-in or, you know, anything
Yeah.
related to kids and things
Yeah.
like that. Well, that was a fun dinner to go to.
as long as you're obeying the fire safety rules.
But that
Drop, drop, and roll. Drop.
That's good though.
that's hard to do, especially young marrieds without kids, because I think your kids help you get a little bit of a life outside of ministry.
Yeah.
But I think
Speaking of kids, I'm having a new kid tomorrow.
We got to end on this. This is great.
woohoo!
So by the time this podcast is posted,
Oh, wow. No, I bet.
Now, why did Andy?
Brazel, what's going on? Everyone thinks everything.
Because I
I'm
replied to
being
all,
coy
and we're all
today.
sensitive about it. So
Oh.
that's why. It's really my fault,
Can we
Outback.
post it, you know?
I'm just saying.
We should. Would you post my email? Might as well.
And
Jerks.
no, actually, you need to
Post
post
my-
Matt's.
Post Matt's email? Oh, yeah. You have to censor it a little bit. But then post my nice apology,
Did you
too.
have to censor him? I don't think.
Because he used, like, you know, the fake swear words. We hold down shift and he hit all the numbers, like ampersand,
did?
exclamation mark.
Yeah, your favorite smart.
Shift 5, if you're looking for it on a keyboard. SS.
Shift 5.
Ampersand.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. So you're having a baby. Tell us more.
Tomorrow morning,
There will
July
be a
Baby
new
boy.
McGill.
Baby
New
boy.
McGill in the world.
Third
Let's talk
Piggly
about
Wiggly
parties
boy.
for a second. They're like, hey, so we're going to schedule the C-section. Do you want to have it on the 3rd or the 6th? And Mish was like, I want to go to the Fields house for the party. So the 6th.
That is
yeah, I think we said that last week in the podcast.
Dang
but
it.
That's all right.
I was derailed during that
Repetition
moment.
is-
It's the mother of
important.
learning.
That's right.
It
Speaking
is.
of mother, your wife is going to be cut open, C-section.
And
Uh,
they'll pull
yeah.
out a baby.
Yep, they're going to pull it out.
So this is it. This is the moment.
Third boy. And this is the boy,
This is not our genetic material.
This
How
is
weird
another
is that?
father and another
wild,
mother.
because
Yeah.
they
We're
had
going to really confuse people
they had
right now.
infertility issues, and
Yes.
they went and adopted.
Somebody else's embryo.
Yeah.
So in the United States, people
An
do
embryo.
people do in vitro, and when you do in vitro, you have leftovers that you don't use,
Okay.
and then they freeze them, which it's against the law to destroy that, which is great.
Yeah, thankfully.
And so there are 400,000 frozen embryos in the United States. So you
Fertilized. Yeah.
yeah, that's a fertilized egg.
Yeah.
And you can adopt it, and so
So
they
it was
thawed
adopted
out
Josh
and
needs to go to biology
implanted
class.
into
Cool.
Misha.
into
Cool.
Mish and growing and
And so you know what the mom and dad look like of these.
yes, because they do like a full adoption where, you know, we did our paperwork and social work and all that stuff, and that our paperwork went out to the other family. They picked us, and then we saw their paperwork, and we got
Now, do you
picked
get to see
out.
their picture? Do you have any idea?
We do.
And
we did.
pictures
Oh,
of their
good.
other kids.
But
Pictures of their other kids.
do you want to say what you called this family?
Sure, I don't care. Yeah. So we did. This is the second family. So there was two families.
Hurry, because we only have a minute left. to
There's
take.
only there's two
Go, go, go.
families, and so one family looked. They were a good-looking family, and the second family was not as good-looking. So we call this the ugly embryo. And and so, I mean, their foreheads are just a little bit bigger, and that's okay.
Let's not knock the foreheads, first of all.
Well, I mean, it's not like I really care. I mean,
You're
as
going to
long as
love little, what's his name?
Morgan.
Morgan.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Max, Mark, Morgan, and then we got
Boy.
Moses in Africa. That's
And
still
Moses
pregnant.
in Africa that we're still working on.
All right, everybody. Well, love you. God bless you. Thanks for doing what you're doing. Happy
First time
5th.
I've
See you next week.
And we will. Next week's student leadership. What are we gonna do?
Oh.
Not a
Embryos for
podcast.
No,
everybody.
let's-
Okay.
You know what,
We're not
there's
gonna do a
some
live
people have emailed
podcast?
in asking if we do a live show.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about it. But send your letters to podcast@simpleyouthministry.com. We're
There you
gonna
go.
have the
Letters
banger
or
next
emails?
week. The new site.
Hey, banger, and can we bring the baby next week?
Of course.
All right.
Why don't we do the podcast at my house?
What if we went to the hospital?
We have student leadership.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.